Good evening. Voxday, voxday.blogspot.com, and Infogalactic News. So, it's been a big day. This is what a lot of us were waiting for. Something a lot of us wanted to see happen. And, I have to admit that for the first time, I think since they shut down the Bush administration's attempt at amnesty, I'm actually impressed with the House Republicans. This is indeed what winning looks like. But also, this is what the decline and fall of a society looks like. What I meant by the title when I said that there's no way back is that I'm actually referring to two things today. There's two posts on my blog that I think are relevant to this. And the two things that are relevant are, first of all, the memo. What the memo shows, what the memo proves, is something that a lot of us have known all along. We've known that the deep state exists. We've known that the federal agencies are corrupt. We've known that they are a sort of Praetorian Guard that professes to be loyal to the country, that professes to be loyal to the president, but in actuality is loyal to themselves and to their own interests. We don't know the full extent of the corruption. Maybe they have other masters as well. But what we do know is that they serve their own interests rather than the responsibilities and duties that they are supposed to fulfill. Now, just so you understand, this is normal. It's not normal for the United States of America, necessarily. But it is normal throughout human history. Throughout human history, governments have been corrupt. In most nations of the world, the police are openly corrupt. So this is not all this is demonstrating to us is that the United States is not a special country that is immune to the usual sins and temptations and failings of human behavior. Yeah, exactly. Jack Posobiec is exactly right. Most every other country in the world operates like this. You see it everywhere. In Italy, the corruption is legendary. So what's shocking to Americans is that they used to think that their country was different. They used to think that their country was better. They used to think that their country was above this sort of thing. Well, it's not. Okay? Now, this doesn't mean that you give up hope. This doesn't mean that you quit. This doesn't mean that you despair. In fact, there's reason for hope, because what we're seeing is that there are still important people in important positions of responsibility who are willing to do the right thing. Trump meant it when he talked about making America great again. America now is not what America used to be, because Americans are not fully American anymore. It's been adulterated, it's been infiltrated, it has been corrupted, in a word. And so what we know now, what we are certain now, is that the corruption exists, and it's something that you have to factor in. It's something that you have to consider. Now, the other thing that is far less important in the grand scheme of things, in terms of its individual, in terms of the event, but is actually potentially more significant in the larger scheme of society, is the other post that I put up today. And it's just a little hit piece on an artist in the comic industry. Not that big a deal. I mean, you know, I pay so little attention to hit pieces that when Wired and USA Today teamed up with the guilty Google harassers, I basically put up a post and ignored it. It's not important. They have literally no effect on me. And really, hit pieces have less and less effect on anyone. I think Roosh is tuning in tonight. You know, he got hit harder and faster and more broadly than anybody I've ever seen. And he managed to turn it around on them in a day. Okay? So, you know, hit pieces are no longer that effective. But what I thought was interesting about this particular hit piece that was run on a minor comic-related site called Bleeding Cool. It was directed at a DC Comics artist named Ethan Van Sciver, who actually, you know, is not a big fan of mine, has openly criticized me and Alt Hero. But he is a little bit on the, he's a little bit on the conservative side. And, the interesting thing about it was that it shows that there is no possible compromise with the cultural left. It is not possible in any way, shape, or form to reach a reasonable accommodation with them. You know, the guy who is the target of a hit piece, the guy who is being called a Nazi, and is a very, look, if you're going to keep talking about volume, I'm going to nuke you. Okay, drop it. We know the volume doesn't work well on this iPad, so just ignore it. Get headphones, whatever. Anyhow, but the point is that you need to see these two things, these two events, as being fundamentally connected. Fuck off. Anyhow, so the point is that these events are connected, and it's not possible to separate them. Okay, what we're seeing is that you've got a culture that is fundamentally divided, and it's one that is not possible for those divided parties to communicate across. And at the same time, you have a corrupted authority which no longer has credibility with either side. And that is, and has always been, a recipe for societal decline, fall, and eventually some form of separation. Exactly. A war of attrition is a conflict, but we are involved in what you would eventually call a cold civil war. You know, nobody tries to pretend that, you know, the Cold War was the same as peace. The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union, it wasn't a hot war, but it wasn't peace. And so what you have to understand is that you have to take your side now. There is no way to connect. There is absolutely no way to connect. There is no way to compromise. There is no way to get along. The differences have reached the point that they are too great. And so you need to understand that this cold civil war Might go hot. It might not. We can hope it. We can hope that it doesn't. All right? But, and we can hope that it remains relatively nonviolent as well. But the point is that you need to give up any idea that there's going to be a sort of reasonable, negotiated outcome to all of this. It's not going to happen. Okay? It will never happen. Because the United States has been subject to the largest invasion in human history of all time. Large movements of people are not only closely associated with war, they usually are considered to be a form of war. And that's what we had, and that's what we have now. And so, whether it's something major, like, this memo revealing the corruption at the top, and the corruption in Washington, and the corruption of the federal police authorities, or whether it is, whether it's a petty little thing where you've got the cultural left attacking a moderate and trying to push the Overton window further and further to the left. What you see again and again, you see this coming from just the other day, Urs Hotzel from Google, number 8 employees, worth like $7.8 billion, somebody told me. And he's running around saying there is no room for the right at Google. There's no space for it. None. How can you compromise with that? You can't compromise with that. There is no way to compromise with it. They have planted their flag. They have claimed the territory. And any attempt to compromise with them is going to end up about as well as it did for the American Indians trying to compromise with the white settlers. It's not going to work. It's not possible. And frankly, we Indians had it good. We at least came out of it with some reservations and casinos. That is not going to happen to the right. Just see right there, the guy that said, there's no compromise with the right racists. Well, guess what? You're all right racists as far as he's concerned. He's not going to compromise with you. That guy, that commenter there, he's not going to compromise with you. He's proving my point. So, things will play out as they do. History continues. But you have to understand that the left has absolutely no intention of leaving you any space, of leaving you any privacy, of leaving you any land, of leaving you with any ability to function inside their society. Megan says, I want to be left alone. They're not going to leave you alone. I wanted to be left alone back in, 2008? The science fiction left came after me anyhow. I didn't start out wanting to be a warrior in the culture wars. All the gamers of Gamergate, they didn't want to be fighting the game journal pros. Ethan Van Sciver does not want to get into a battle with anybody in the comics industry. But here's the thing you have to understand. Your desire is irrelevant. It's not about you. It's about them. All right? And if you haven't read my book, SJW's Always Double Down, then you probably won't understand what is happening. You can't understand what is happening. Because, I was talking to somebody who got swarmed the other day, and they were saying, "What did I do? I don't know what I did." And I said, "It's nothing that you did. You didn't do anything. It's not about you. It is about them." And so, so you have to keep in mind, on the right, we have had in the past a tendency to think, oh, well, so-and-so folks, they're getting swarmed, but they must have done something. They must have done something. They didn't. They didn't do anything wrong most of the time. They didn't even do anything objectionable or offensive most of the time. So, this guy, it's funny, these guys saying, a memo that has no substance. You see, Cantona, you're completely wrong. The memo is massively full of substance. It's massively full of it because it proves that the FBI repeatedly broke the law. The director of the FBI, the deputy director of the FBI, repeatedly broke the law. You can read my blog. I've got the entire memo posted there. There's a number of lawyers who have posted what laws were broken and even the penalties that are there. See, you're a moron. You're just saying, oh, rubbish. You know nothing. You're just another stupid leftist who wants to try to claim whatever you can. You think you speak reality into existence. But the law is there. The law is very clear. And, there are going to be a number of people who are probably going to jail. And the thing is, people can protest. They say, oh, the memo isn't completely accurate. Fine. Release the warrants. Do you guys not understand that that's the whole plan? The laws on I just told you, go to the blog. Well, seriously, how stupid are you that you can't understand what I said? There's at least 7 laws that were broken. Okay? The post is called the Nunez Menu. Go down, read it. I said read the comments. Go into the comments. They are all there. Perjury is one. Anyhow, the point is, go read the blog, read the comments. They've already been listed. And so, you guys can whine and cry all you like. The important stuff is not the memo itself. What I said on the blog is the point isn't what's in the memo. The point is what the memo makes clear happened. And so now they have reason to drill down further. They have reason to go into it deeper, and it's going to land on the Podestas. It's going to land on the Clintons, and it is possibly going to land on the Obama administration. So all of those things are. You guys are trying to still play the political game. You don't understand that it's over. You can say, "Oh, well, it's not right. It's not this." Look, all this posturing. All this posturing doesn't do you any good. You're not convincing me. You're not convincing anyone. All right? The thing is, you're saying you'll trust the FBI when they have been proven. See, look at these guys. They just blatantly lie about this stuff. It's incredible. And the thing is, it's not that they understand any of this stuff. This is just knee-jerk leftist behavior. Deny, deny, deny. You know, it's just it's just absolutely ridiculous. And so the important thing about it is that we have now had confirmed what we have known all along. And so, you know, by the time this is over, you know, we may not even have an FBI anymore, because it is so completely, hopelessly out of control. But never mind the shills; they're irrelevant. You know, I mean, you know, they will continue to throw out everything they can. Remember, this memo was supposed to be so devastating that they had to block it, because it was going to be so critically devastating to the FBI and the NSA. Now, the minute that it's been put out, they're saying that, there's nothing in it. Well, how's that possible? Clearly, they were lying before, or they're lying now. Either way, ignore them. You know, that's why I just block these idiots, because all they're trying to do is trying to get you to stop thinking. They're trying to get you to stop paying attention. You know, go back and watch America's Top Model or something. And so, the FBI is conspiratorial, you moron. Go read their files on Martin Luther King. So, anyhow, have a good evening. We've got some really cool stuff coming out soon. Our first Dark Legion comic is coming out soon, next week. And so, have a good weekend, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.